This is Damien LeVeck, and you've been listening to the Creepy Crap Podcast.
Welcome to the Creepy Crap Podcast, Australia's favourite horror podcast with your host, Daniel Craig. Be warned, there may be spoilers, swearing, and adult themes in this episode, so now that's out of the way, enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Creepy Crap Podcast, Australia's favourite horror podcast with your host, Daniel Craig. This is a YouTube component of the normal podcast, so today we've got a guest episode, a very special guest episode. It's the director of the short and the full-length feature film, The Cleansing Hour. It's on Shudder, it's everywhere now. The Cleansing Hour. And if you haven't heard of that, you're like, what's The Cleansing Hour? I'm about to play the full-length feature trailer, so you can check it out and be like, hey, that looks awesome. I want to watch that as well as hear all about it, so that's what you're going to get on today's episode. And stick around because straight after the trailer, the full episode is going to begin my interview with Damien LeVeck. And then afterwards, stay tuned because there's a music video. A great band's going to play a great song. So stay tuned. That's what you're getting on the Creepy Crap Podcast today. Dinner and dessert. Creepy Crap Podcast, Australia's favourite horror podcast. Enjoy, everybody. Keep watching.
In the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, I command you to give me your name.
And cut. Nice job, everybody. Good job.
I gotta take that.
Follow monitors, let me lead.
All right, everybody, here we go. 3, 2.
Time to go off script.
Damien LeVeck, welcome to the Creepy Crap Podcast, Australia's favourite horror podcast. Thank you so much for coming on the show. How you going?
My pleasure. It's good to be here.
Where are you at the moment? Are you in a studio or something like that, or a locker
This is
room?
my studio that I work in. I do all my writing and editing in here. It's my Zen creative space.
A big keep out sign outside.
Right?
What made you choose to stay behind the camera instead of in front of the camera? Like you want to do directing and all that sort of stuff. How come you chose that over acting?
Well, you know what? I did acting in high school, and I took some acting classes in college, and I actually really enjoy it. But I really don't think that that's where my strengths lie. I think that that's, and that's an important part of just growing up is sort of understanding like where are your talents best used. To be quite honest, I've known since I was like 12 years old that I wanted to make movies. I just didn't know. When you're 12 years old, you don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But you just know that you want to do that thing that you're watching. I never really found myself completely drawn to acting the way that I'm drawn to writing and directing.
Yeah. So what was that? You watch a movie, you're like, I want to make a movie myself.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And that's exactly what I did. I have the sort of age-old tale of picking up mom and dad's camcorder and making my own movies and doing stop motion animation with Legos and that sort of thing. So
Oh, wow.
that was totally my childhood. I mean, I still have a lot of those videos.
That's heaps good. You started early then. That must
Yeah.
be such an advantage to later on where you're like, I already know how to film and all that sort of stuff.
Well, it helps. And whenever you have to do a lot of the stuff yourself or do everything yourself, you have a deeper appreciation for, how hard it is to make something, and to make a movie takes many, many hands and so much work.
What was the movies you used to make, the home videos? Were they horrors as well, or they were something else?
No, they were a variety of things. I mean, I did everything from, like I said, stop motion to I made in high school, I made a Civil War comedy, which, I hope nobody sees. But it was a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag. And I actually I do love comedy quite a lot. I had made a comedy short film years back that I'm still very proud of, but comedy is a tough nut. And I really think that I'm more at home with horror. I love horror for a lot of different reasons more than any other genre. And I think that I have a lot more room to. There's a lot more that I want to do there before I move on to another genre.
Yeah, why is comedy harder? Just to ask you, just curious with that. Is that because like these days you don't know what's going to offend someone, or is just your humor may not be someone else's?
Well, the offense thing is just being completely honest. My knee jerk reaction to that is like when it comes to comedy, it really doesn't matter who you offend. I really think the comedy needs to be sort of like an untouchable world of like that you just can't touch it. Like, and I think there are bad comics who do offensive comedy, but it's offensive because it's just not funny, versus like offensive because like it triggers somebody. But that's not why I don't pursue comedy at the moment. Like the reason why I don't pursue comedy mainly is just because like all the stories that I want to tell right now, well, not all the stories, but almost all the stories are in the horror realm. That's the reason why I focus my attention there.
Yeah, that's fair enough. I was watching the short before we did this sort of stuff. The short's great, by the way. I love it. I watched it on that was it the Robert Rodriguez channel? I saw you there sitting there and all that.
Oh, no kidding. Is that where you saw it? That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, you looked all fancy in your chair and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Look here, watch here.
Was that online?
Yeah, that was on YouTube. It was on the
El Rey Network. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, the short heap's good. I was going to ask you, like, can I ask a couple questions about it? You don't mind talking about?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's probably why you're here.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you got Heather Morris in it, the one, like, she's like the dancer choreographer or whatever. She's from Glee and all that sort of stuff. She was the main girl in the first one, also called Heather. Was she not available for the feature film? Or did you, like, she plays the cameo. She's in the desert and all that sort of stuff. But did you just go with a different actor or she wasn't available? Or how come she was kind of there but not there? I was just curious. Did you just go with different actors?
The main reason for the different casting is just because, the feature film is a different movie entirely. I was really trying to fully differentiate the feature film from the short film. So even though the feature film has the same story as the short, I went in a lot of different directions creatively with the feature than I did with the short. And I really didn't want to I didn't want to like tether myself to the short visually in any way. I wanted to have complete freedom to make a new movie. So that was the main reason for casting it differently. I love Heather. I think she's really talented, and I hope to make more movies with her. It's just that whenever you're stepping into a feature, there are a lot of things to consider, and my creative vision was definitely one of them. And I wanted to try and make a movie that was set apart from the short film. The short film, was very successful. It did very well. It won lots of awards, and I didn't want to hold the feature to the same standard as the short by casting all the same people in.
There was only one scene that is the only thing you've kind of like, apart from like the vibe of the short, was the cops. That was almost scene for scene, only I think like maybe the screen and the eyes are slightly different and all that.
Just from my experience with going around the world with the short film, the Korean cops were extremely popular, and it also gave me the ability to add like another location that looked truly unique for a spectator watching the cleansing hour. So it felt like just like a natural thing to just lift that from the short and put it into the feature. It was edited slightly differently, but I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the choice to have the Korean cops in.
They're fun. I like how he's just sitting there eating like a whole plate of sushi in the car. Like it's not like a hamburger. Like that's their takeaway version of like the cops eating a burger or something like that.
Yeah, it is. We tried to make it. Actually, I did try to make it as accurate as possible, just culturally. And also, by the way, the short film, we were in competition in the Busan International Film Festival in Korea, and I went there. It was like a whirlwind trip. I went to Seoul. I flew into Seoul for 3 days. Oh, wow. Went to Busan for the film festival, and then flew back. It was wild. I barely slept, and it was so much fun. Like it was like, what a great country. I can't wait to go back to South Korea.
That seems good then. I just assumed maybe it was just filmed in like a car park or something. You're like,
oh no! I didn't film it. I didn't film it in South Korea, but we were in competition in a film festival.
Oh, okay, yeah, just went there.
And Junho Ha is the older cop in the car, and he's actually a very famous Korean film actor.
Yeah, I looked up all his stuff. I was like, oh wow.
Yeah, so whenever I was in Korea, I had all these people walking up to me like, "How did you get Junho? How'd you get Junho?" they all knew who he was. Like, he's the Tom Cruise of Korea.
Wow. He goes for you, but it doesn't do ours. I'm like, we've been asking him for ages. It's not fair.
Yeah.
Can I ask what was the elements, like you were saying, it was kind of like the short film was basically like, I guess like a little sample, a little teaser of like, here's what I made. He got your interest. We moved on. But what were the elements that you were happy and like excited to sort of expand on with the feature?
In the feature, I was really excited to expand on like Drew and Max's relationship. You know, they have a history together. They've been friends. You know, I can relate to this in some ways because I have a couple friends who I've known for over 30 years. We went to Catholic grade school together. So like when you know somebody for that long, I mean, you have a history. Like you've been through ups and downs, good times and bad. And I think that's one of the things that was the most fun to sort of like open up in the feature film. And then of course I added the element of, you know, Lane being Drew's fiance. That is a whole nother dimension as well. And they both have a past, as we find out in the movie. Yeah. So that was really the most fun for me.
Can you talk about the scare? Like this might actually have more to you than I thought. The scariest scene in the whole movie to me, the bottle caps on the knees. Is that from like a past experience? What made you think of that? That thing is horrifying.
Thank you. Well, I'm a recovering Catholic, and I can relate to other fellow recovering Catholics. I actually got the idea from a story that I heard from Guillermo del Toro, who is also a recovering Catholic, and told me that I think it was like his old Catholic grandmother or something like that would force him to walk to school with upside down bottle caps in his shoes.
Oh my God.
That's how I got the idea.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So that's apparently that pain and suffering draws you closer to God.
Oh yeah, obviously. Yeah, it's so brutal. I see that, and then it's like it's not bad enough that just kneeling on it. That she's like, obviously, it's building up to like the intensity. She's pushing on the back of the knees. And
that's the Holy Spirit on the calf pressing down.
She's trying to like tell him that it's this, and she's like, "Don't help him." The recurring theme as well. You've got Kyle Gallner in there. I hope I'm saying his last name right. What was it like getting him in there? He's got so like. His resume of horror movies already is like as long as his arm. It's crazy. Yeah? Like, how did you get him? And did that change the whole movie? Did you work around him, or how'd you get him on board? It's awesome.
Well, my casting director sent the script to him. He really liked it. We sat down a couple of times and talked about the movie, and you know, I think we gelled well. And he really believed that I, you know, had a vision for this movie that was going to make it possible and be able to pull it off. And, you know, I think also just like personalities really clicked. And, you know, I think Kyle is a really genuine, down to earth person. And so am I. You know, there's no pretense with any of us. Like with either of us, we are who we are, and we're not putting on a show. We don't do the Hollywood BS, like, you know, all that. So, it just worked out, and you know, I had the best time working with Kyle because he's so bloody talented, and that really can't be overstated. He's one of those guys who makes what he does look really easy, and as a result, makes my job a lot easier too. So, like, I mean, I'd be filming, and he'd ask me like, "So, what do you think? Like, was that what you wanted?" And then because like, you know, he's like, he wants to know like, what did I think of the take that we did. I'm just so floored. I'm not saying anything, like, which, you know, was a mistake on my part. Like, I need to tell him like what I'm thinking, so he understands he's giving me what I want. And like the truth is like I'm just so like happy with what he's doing that I'm like, okay, wow, that's freaking awesome. Like and I'm thinking about other things, you know. But so Kyle is just such a great guy, so talented, so professional, and like there's obviously a reason why he is so prolific, because he is all of those things, and everybody wants to work with him because he's such a nice person, which I'm telling you is like in this business, it's 70 or 80% of the job. Just be a nice person, you know, and keep your hands to yourself, you know.
Yeah.
You know, so but it was great. Like, and then the whole cast was great. Ryan auditioned for the role, and he for the role of Max, and gosh, like what a phenomenal actor Ryan is. Like, he's one of those people who, you know, I think is really got a very long career. And Alex, you know, we found her on a lark. We did an open call because we had auditioned a bunch of people and nobody was really clicking for me for the role of Lane, and that was, arguably one of the most important roles in the movie because it's effectively two roles. She's playing the demon and Lane. So we did an open call, and we had over 3,000 submissions, and my casting director, bless her heart, sifted through all of them and sent me the best ones. And I saw Alex's tape, and I was like, wow, that's it. That's it. Like she's delivering these exactly how I hoped, exactly how I imagined. She gets it.
Is that how she had to win? Like, she had to be like normal Lane, and then suddenly like the devil's in me and all that sort of stuff?
I think the sides we sent did do some of that. I think that maybe we had her go back and forth. We had her like audition both roles. But yeah, I mean, it was awesome. I mean, the cast really made the movie possible, and just because they were all so on, they were all so on point, and we didn't waste any time because we were waiting on them. Like, if anything, they were always waiting on us. So great cast, very, very blessed to have them in this movie.
You had the whole, like, the intro part, which like sucks you in straight away with the feature, and you're just like, holy shit, like, you're like, what is happening here? The whole, like, the gurney or whatever it was goes up, and then it's sort of, yeah, good show, everyone, that's a wrap, and it cuts off, and then you see like all this behind the scenes. Was the behind the scenes element of it, was that something you were just happy to like show, or was this something, because I remember seeing you talk about these shows are sort of like they suck everyone in and that sort of stuff. Was this trying to like expose them in a little way, the whole here's the effects, here's that, or was that just part of the movie that had no hidden meaning or anything like that you were kind of like showing that this is how they fool you, like you were giving like a peek behind the curtain with that?
Are you referring to like whenever Tommy like turns on the smoke and makes the light and that sort of thing?
Like it's kind of showing how all these things.
That's just sort of that background is there just to sort of show how these guys are doing this show, like show that they've got a professional setup, and that they've always got some new trick up their sleeve for like how to do special effects and like fool an audience. We're breaking the fourth wall of their show by showing all that stuff. So that's the reason why it's there.
Yeah, it was really interesting for like someone who has no experience with like making a movie or anything like that. You're like, well, and that also goes with is the snake thing a joke as well? Like how, like he's got these old school terms and stuff like that. Is that something that related to you with making movies where he's like, oh, watch out for the snake over there? And she's like, it's not called that. Was that like a hidden joke or inside joke or something like that?
The term snake, the term snake, I think refers like what I've heard it mostly in audio production. That the snake is like your primary is like a big bundle of cables that carries all the signals in an audio show, like in a concert or whatever. I've not personally heard that term used on a movie set, but it doesn't really matter. It's an industry jargon, and like it's the bratty film school kid correcting the guy who's been doing it forever, which even if she's right, it's a inappropriate thing to do, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I wondered if that was some sort of like moment that had happened previous to you or something like that, where it's like some new person's come up, oh well, there's actually this, oh, you don't do it in 4K, oh, that's old school, and all this sort of stuff, and you're like it's our movie, get the drinks for us or something.
right, exactly. Yeah, so that's I love Riley. Well, she's such a great touch to the story,
With the start of the movie, the short film, it's very obvious the sound guy's got the cult marking and he's coming in sort of, oh, hey, touches her, brings the demon in, that sort of thing. How does the demon exactly get involved with these guys? Like they've been doing it for so long and then suddenly it happens when Lane there? Was it something to do with the drugs?
The short, so this is a big point of differentiation between the short and the feature. In the short, the demon sort of gets into the girl because of the sound guy, right?
Yeah.
In the feature, we don't really explain how the demon gets there. I never really thought that you needed to. If anything, you can make the argument that these guys have been like faking exorcisms for forever. If anything, they're taunting demons to show up to actually like get their comeuppance. So once the demon arrives, I always felt like the audience is just going to go along with it. Like they're there for the ride. We don't need to get into like the complexities of how it got there. The only thing that I really did do in the script was I felt like it was sort of necessary to show okay, spoiler alert, the devil had been planning this all along for a long time. So he used demon-possessed homeless people out on the street to take out Dante, who was supposed to sit in the chair that day. So like, this is like, if you look at the big picture of this, going all the way back to Max and Drew's childhood, the devil kind of like was planning for all this to happen and set up all the you know.
So they had to use Lane instead of someone else.
Exactly. That's why. Yeah. I mean,
Okay. That was my follow-up question, was about the alleyway. I was like, what is this? You got creatures and they all sort of like, you know, oh, hey, I'm trying to find the studio. Where is it? And all that. And then she like gets attacked and you're just like, what is this part of it? But that's good because it, like, from the viewer's point of view, like telling the director who made it, it is a lot of mystery to it. That's the thing. It's kind of good. It's like, if you know, if there is no exact point to when it happens, that's exactly how you follow it when you watch it, because you watch it and you just like seen it a couple times now and you're just trying to be like, when did it, and each time you try to think, oh, maybe it's this part, or oh no, it was kind of with them there. And it's good. It's a lot of mystery to it. You're not handing it on a platter. I guess where the short one, you know what happens. It's from this. Oh, that was good.
I don't like the spoon feed, and I think the best horror films don't spoon feed their audience. They certainly leave things to mystery. I mean, you know, just take the gold standard of exorcism movies, The Exorcist. You know, Reagan plays with a Ouija board and Captain Howdy shows up, and like that's all you need. It's one scene. It's one scene. She plays with the Ouija board. It's like, okay, she played with the Ouija board. That's how the demon got there. Like we don't need to go into any more detail than that. Likewise in Cleansing Hour, okay, these guys have done like 300 fake exorcisms. You know, if they're just taunting, they're just begging for Satan to show up and kick their ass. You know, so like that was kind of how I approached it.
It's an amazing movie. Is like Max actually? I know there's a whole point which explains he's like, is this annoying asking about the characters? I just get so into the movie. I'm like, you're the only person that can answer it 100%.
It's your show, man.
Like, I know he's not an actual exorcist. They explain that. Like, you know, I tried. They wouldn't let me. My one dream. But is he a father at all, or is it purely just a character role he plays?
It's a character role, but, you know, fun fact, Ryan Guzman actually attended some kind of like all boys Catholic school that's meant to groom you for the priesthood. So like, I had no idea about this whenever Ryan auditioned, but like, that's the truth. Like he actually went through this. So he had a lot of like childhood preparation for this role, which is kind of crazy to think about.
Did you know that when he auditioned, or it was just...
I didn't. I think he told us at the audition after he did the audition.
And the other part that was really great when you watch the movie, which almost like, it's kind of like watch it and then watch it again instantly, is the mini movie. the whole reading the chat part. It's like hilarious. You have to like kind of just watch the movie properly and then read that. Did you write all that sort of stuff? All those messages?
I wish I could say that I did. So yeah, you're right. There is another movie. If you go back and you watch and you pause on every chat feed, there's another movie entirely in just the chat feed, which is so much fun. Basically what I did was, you know, when the movie was locked and we finished editing, I had friends over, and then like 15 friends over, we got them all liquored up. And then we sat and we watched through every scene. And then on a shared Google Doc, everyone is typing in chat text. And then that chat text is what was used to create those graphics for the chat feed.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And so it was great because we had a really diverse group of friends who spoke different languages and who are from different backgrounds, who did a really good job of sort of creating this sort of like realistic, you know, group of spectators and the kinds of horrible and nice things that they would say.
So many quotable things in that thing. There was one, I think it was like Manhattan Minute and like all this stuff where you're just like, what are these? Like, but yeah, it's so funny. That's so good to understand. You have to watch it twice. Like,
you have to watch it twice because it goes by so fast. If you watch it on a movie theater screen, more of it pops out because it's obviously so much bigger. But it's a great excuse to watch it a second time.
Have you got that one person, even if it's past or present, that you just really want to like wish you could have worked with or work with?
There are a couple actors who I really want to work with on my next movies. I've got 2 movies teed up right now. Hilary Swank, Julia Garner, Cillian Murphy, or Saoirse Ronan. Those are a few I'd love to work with.
Like, you know, what have you got planned? What's anything coming up in the pipeline?
The next one I think that's like right around the bend is it's a contained creature horror, body horror that I'm really, really excited about because it's, you know, it's all set in a house during a blizzard during Christmas time. And so it's sort of like blending those Christmas horror elements, which I think is going to be really a lot of fun. And it's all practical effects, full size monster, all practical. It's going to be great.
That sounds amazing. That's a good thing with Christmas movies. You end up getting every Christmas, you become that movie everyone wants to watch. They're like, move out of the way, Krampus. It's your movie now.
I hope so.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't think of that.
Man. Shudder next Christmas. Let's tee it up for Shudder.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for coming on the Creepy Crap podcast. It's been absolutely amazing talking to you. Thank you so much.
Don't worry about it. We should let's do it again. Let's do it again in the next movie. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks. You have a good one. Thank you. Bye-bye.
So thank you so much for listening to the Creepy Crap podcast, Australia's favourite horror podcast with your host Daniel Craig, special guest Damien LeVeck, and finishing it off, as I just said, the Soaring Blackbirds with their track Lucy. So thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please subscribe and all that sort of stuff. And or you can listen to this on the normal podcast, on all the podcast apps, or the streaming ones, Spotify, iTunes, all those sort of ones. That's where you can listen to it or watch it. But I mean, if you're up to this point, you've already watched it. But if you want both, that's the option. So this was the Creepy Crap podcast. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you on the next one.